Live with Kevin Rankin.
What's happening, everybody? I'm glad to see you here at All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. Today's going to be a fun one. If you're watching this in church or at work, you might want to turn your sound down, put some headphones on. It's going to be a fun, not safe for work conversation. My guest is amazing. Before we do that, though, let me just ask you guys really quick. If you're coming here anywhere other than YouTube, came from Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, wherever else, please do me a favor. Go to this link below. Go to youtube.com/@accesskevin and subscribe to this channel. I would love it if you subscribe. Hit the like button. Make sure you share this with everybody else. There are 290 other episodes of amazing guests. We just had Amanda Wiss from Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Better Off Dead. She was just on the show. Efren Ramirez from Napoleon Dynamite. You remember him as Pedro. So this is kind of a week of actors. And there's none more intriguing and exciting than my next guest. She is working on a new project. We can talk a little bit about that. And if you don't know her name, I'm going to let her tell her story for you. So all the way from her amazing abode in southern United States, I've got Ginger Lynn Allen. How you doing, Ginger?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Kevin.
I'm grateful to have you. You know what? One thing I was going to ask you before you were setting up camera, I understand you're a painter as well, right?
Yeah, I'm an artist. I've been painting now for about 30 years. And I've sold over 150 paintings. I have a website called gingerlinart.com. And you can look up my paintings. And I also have a line of jewelry that I've designed. I find that I have to be busy all the time. Yeah. I'm not good. I can't just sit and watch TV. I need to create something almost every moment.
Yeah, I think we're probably alike in that way that, idle hands gets us in trouble a little bit. So I just put the link down below. If you guys are watching this, take a look at the caption below, gingerlinart.com. You can go and take a look at Ginger's work. I hadn't seen that yet. I just saw some paintings that you'd shared from some other interviews. And my dad's a painter and a sculptor, printmaker, and so I'm a big fan of creative. And so I look forward to seeing your stuff.
I hope you check it out. It's very diverse. It's very abstract. And the way that I paint, I smoke a joint. I get this big round plastic bowl, and I go through my studio and just choose colors. I've got bins with every different colors, shelves and shelves and shelves. And I'll just throw colors in. And then I decide what I want to paint. I do a lot of women. I do a lot of, you have no fucking clue what it is. You have to make it up yourself. And most of my pieces are big. I've got some smaller ones, but a lot of my pieces are huge.
Is that kind of like your personality? Just a reflection?
Me? No, I'm shy and quiet.
Right. You're a dormouse. Man, there's a lot of ground to cover, right? And as I told you, the premise behind the show is we're hanging backstage. Typically when I'm doing, and so I don't know if you recognize the backdrop here, but it's as if we're hanging at the Rainbow right now. So
You're right.
I imagine that you spent a little bit of time in there, huh?
I've been to the Rainbow a few times. Oh my God, I went in there one night with my girlfriend Lisa, and I'm at the bar and she's off doing something, and this guy comes up to me, black man, good looking, sweet as pie, hitting on me all over the place. And Lisa sees me and she comes over and she grabs me by the shirt and says, "We're leaving now." And it was, oh fuck, that's the best part of the story. Who was it? Who's somebody who's known for beating up their wife? I can't think of his name right now. He has dreadlocks. Shit, I hate when
okay. Well,
you know
what year was
It'll
it?
pop into my head later in the interview. Oh, Rick James. It was Rick James.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had no clue. I'm just talking to some nice guy. And my girlfriend was like, "That's not a nice guy. Get the fuck away now."
You need Lisa all the time around you. It sounds like, yeah.
No, I actually really don't. I remember being at the Rainbow one night, and I was upstairs in a booth, and this guy got in next to me, and put his hand on my leg. I said, get the fuck out of here. And he wouldn't leave. So I turned sideways and kicked him out. I have 26 years of martial arts.
Oh,
So I've got a couple of good moves.
yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, an attractive lady in an industry that you've been known most for, I would imagine you kind of look out for yourself a lot, right? So,
You really do. My grandfather and my father were both police officers. And so I learned to sit with my back never ever to the door. I learned to keep an eye on my surroundings. So I'm kind of overly sensitive to people.
yeah.
And especially in airports, because I get recognized a lot in airports, but it's rarely that people will come up to me. And when they do, it's not fun.
You know
I'm
what?
going
I
to
mean,
take
obviously,
Beyonce's lead. Beyonce said to somebody recently that sat next to her on a first class seat, she couldn't get her jet, I guess. And she said, "Here's how it's going to go." And she gave them. She goes, "You get 3 questions. Then I'm going to read my book. Then I'm going to go to sleep. So I need to start with, here's how it's going to go."
you know what? Some people might think that's pretentious, but if you're in a public eye and you're a celebrity that way, without any personal space, it's exhausting. And I don't have, anywhere near the experience that you probably have had with it. But over time, because I think, maybe we could talk a little bit about your history, right? So you talked
Right.
about
Let me
in
interrupt
the
just for
past.
1 second. I
Yeah.
don't. I love, love, love my fans. So I don't want them to think if they see me that I'm unapproachable. Um, but at the same time, there has to be healthy boundaries.
Yeah. Well, are they intimidated by you? Do you think?
Oh no. Oh, are
Yeah.
they intimidated? Are they
Yeah.
intimidated? You know what I think it is they've seen me as close up and personal as you possibly can,
Right.
and in doing such an intimate act, my earlier career fans, I think they get nervous.
Yeah. Have you noticed, because you've been in the business a long time, right? You started off in the 80s.
83, it's 40
Yeah.
years this month. And when you say
Um,
the business, you mean entertainment business. I haven't been in porn for 40 years.
right. Well, yeah. No, no, no. I mean, we talked about that even prior to going on the show. I mean, we're all in the entertainment business, and music and film acting.
Exactly.
When you're in that kind of space and you've got any kind of recognition, um, learning those healthy boundaries is important, right? And
It really
you've
is.
got it.
I'm a petite woman. I'm 5'2". Um, so yeah, I'm easy to pick up and run away with.
Yeah, somebody could throw you in the back of the van. We don't
Yeah,
want that. All
exactly.
right, so
That's
well,
more my fear as I don't come see them coming and then they just pick me up and run with me.
like some places, if you're in, a real public space, the Sphere that just opened up in Vegas, right? So
Yeah.
they're doing the residency with U2, and I saw some clips last night of Ace Frehley out in the crowd. He's way up in the seats, about 2/3 of the way back through, and like Ace Frehley of Kiss is a real
Right.
recognizable name, and everybody is swarming him for pictures, and it's a 2.5-hour show. So I didn't see
Uh,
clips like during the show, but it looked to me like he was not going to be able to even enjoy a pretty amazing experience like that without having a lot of attention that way.
yeah,
Um,
that's the hard part. I haven't gotten to that point in my quote unquote celebrity where I'm mobbed by any means. I'm recognized a lot though.
yeah. Well, our dear friend Missy Gordon, right, has been working as a rep for you for some of the conventions.
Love Missy, love Missy, love Missy. Yes.
She is. I mean, so for people that don't know, Missy is basically like a talent broker for conventions, a lot of horror cons.
Yes.
The scarletabbey.com is her website, and she does conventions for all sorts of different celebrities. And that was our connection. She'd mentioned what a doll you were, what an amazing guest. I've had a few of her former clients. I had Tawny Katane on the show just
Oh,
before Tawny
nice.
passed, um, and it was really nice to get an inside view on her background. The stuff that you don't hear about reading in magazines or seeing on TV
I
and film. So people probably don't know a lot about the Ginger Lynn that they haven't seen on camera with some prominent adult entertainers, right?
Well,
So,
I gotta tell you, I'm on my third or fourth generation of fans. So for the first 10 years, it was porn fans. And when my life really changed, is when Rob Zombie hired me for The Devil's Rejects.
Yes.
That was 20 years ago. And I started out slow doing films, got to Rob's, and that put my name on the book for mainstream projects. I have 8 films under my belt. I just wrapped from a film in LA Sunday. Yeah, I have. So I've got 8 films under my belt. It's been wonderful for these last few decades. But in between the porn and the mainstream, I was in the Metallica video "Turn the Page."
Yes.
I did NYPD Blue. I did American Pie Band Camp. I did Silk Stockings. I did a series with, what was it called? With George Clooney. I did a series called Sunset Beat. They aired 6 episodes and then they cut it out. And this was before he was famous. And I don't have one, but I wish I did. The posters that they made up for Sunset Beat didn't have George's picture on the front. It was me. I'm only in one episode, but he wasn't as recognizable at that point in time.
Well, how do you get gigs like that? I mean, if you've gone from being like one of the most recognizable faces or characters in adult films to go to mainstream, you mentioned Rob was the first person to get you from a mainstream project. Had you known him?
No, he wasn't the first to get me on the mainstream project. He was the first to get me into the horror film genre.
Okay. Well, and that was after Turn the Page, right? I think
after Turn the Page. Yes, okay. That's kind of in the middle there. So I've got fans who've never seen one of my adult movies. I have fans that have no clue who Ginger Lynn is. I'm Ginger Lynn Allen. And so I've got fans that from teens to hundreds, and it's really nice.
When so the horror industry brings a real rabid fan base too, right? So I'm sure if you do conventions, do you go to some of those and do appearances and autographs? And
I do. I did 2 of them this month, and they're different. They're not as glamorous as they used to be. There are very few adult film stars there. There are lots and lots of cam girls. There are girls that no matter what you're into, you will find it there. But it almost seems to me that people come to the adult shows to show themselves off in their underwear. They come in with pasties and fishnet bodysuits and little thong. And, the civilians that come in dress way, way more seductively and in your face than the actual few porn stars that are there. I honestly have done just mainstream conventions. I've done the horror conventions and the adult. By far, my favorite genre of people is the horror fans.
Yeah, they're way into it, right?
Oh, yes, they're way into it, and they're so nice. And I'm a little bit weird. I'm a little bit off. And for some reason, when I get into those conventions, I just feel comfortable. It's my most comfortable type of convention. I don't know if I'll be doing many more of the adult ones. It's just not my crowd. I'll go in the first 2 or 3 hours. It's my fans. After that, it turns into a party, and they have big stages, and everybody's dancing, and it's loud. People get drunk, and so I do about 2 to 4 hours, depending on the crowd, when I do the adults.
4 is enough, man. Regardless whether it's party or not, man.
I think so.
When has it gotten out of hand? Have you had any issues where you've got some creepers and had to deal with some security issues?
I've been able to deter the creeps from my own table. I do have security that travels with me. But I have a way of nicely telling you what a piece of shit you are and you need to leave.
Nice. Yeah.
I had one guy recently who, for some reason, all I can think of is attention. He was just writing the nastiest, most awful things about me on Twitter and Instagram. And I live in Las Vegas. He lives in Las Vegas.
Oh, God.
So I'm doing a convention, and he had sent me a photo of him, so I knew who he was. He comes up to my table. He's like, "Hi, Ginger." And I go, "Oh, you're the one that wishes I was dead. Oh, now I remember you." what's, how you feeling about that lately? And it wasn't me, it was my girlfriend. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you better leave. So I do it in a nice, fun way. I don't want somebody thrown out, but I did have who was the creepiest ever at a convention? And I won't say his name. It's an actor that's known for voices as well as being on screen. He's a big voice actor. And he's very fit, very buff. He's like 65 years old. And we were doing this little video for a soap company that I like. He had his hand over my shoulder and just grabbed my tit. So I backhanded him, called security, and he's blacklisted from most of the conventions now. He thought
Wow.
because of my past that it would be okay to grab my breast. No.
Well, that entitlement, honestly, right? So, I mean, we don't have to get into names, but I think the actors and guys that are in that business, we've talked about a little bit about that expectation. Some of those actors felt like they have
The
the
right.
right, yeah, to just and
And
I mean, you got into the business.
I've had more problem with mainstream actors than I have with fans. Tom Sizemore was a freaking nightmare and such an asshole. I got Gary Busey kicked out of an event for grabbing my tit. He just walked up and grabbed it.
Wow.
Hello. So there's still that before Me Too mentality of people of a certain age. And I like my boobs played with. I like my body parts played with. That's why I have them. They're for fun. But you have to be invited. You don't just get to come and play with my stuff.
Well, so for like porn actors, right? Like even off camera, I mean, some of the guys that felt entitled to have access to you. Do you feel like that was a common thing too in the business to have guys that because you're an adult film actress that you're open game?
No. Well, there are people in the industry that are predators. I'll put it that way. But not many. For the most part, I've never walked onto a porn set and had someone say to me, "Can you get naked?"
Really?
And suck my dick. Like someone that I'm not, like a director or anybody else that's not my talent. Yet I went on one of my very first mainstream auditions in 1986, and it was Beverly Hills Cop 2. Tony Scott was directing it. Ridley Scott's one of my favorite directors ever.
Yeah.
And I won't say who said what, but I walked into the casting room, or the casting room, and there were 3 men in there, including Tony Scott. And the first thing that was said to me was, "Can you get naked for a Polaroid?" Now, I'm supposed to play a ding-dong waitress who thinks that John Ashton and is the president of the United States and believes when Eddie Murphy is telling her. So it's a dingy, fun, energetic character. There's no nudity in this. And I said, "No, I don't think so." And they said, "Well, how about a topless Polaroid?" And I said, "Don't think so. Why don't I just read for the part?" And so I read it, and it's a nice little part, and I'm bubbly, and I'm funny, and I play dumb as dirt, and it's just perfect. And I get done, and someone in that room says to me, "No, I want you to say this like you're the biggest slut in the world. You want to fuck everybody." And Kevin, I felt the tears well up, and I was trying that knot in your chest. I was trying so hard to just excuse myself and be cool. But it didn't work. The tears were rolling down my face. I'm like, I don't think I'm right for this part. And I left. So I've had the casting couch in mainstream film. I had the casting couch for Young Guns too.
Really?
That's the only reason I was in there, because I blew the right guy. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're way known for dating the mean guys, right? Like the bad boys of Hollywood.
I'm known for dating bad boys. Yeah.
So is that where that relationship started up? You had Emilio for that one?
No, when I was on Young Guns 2, his name was Jack Brodsky. I don't even think he's alive anymore. No, this was one of the producers at Morgan Creek.
Okay.
And no, but I really was a slut on the set of Young Guns 2. I had just broken up with my boyfriend, or we were in the midst of a huge breakup. And he had said to me the night before I left to do Young Guns 2, he goes, "You're never going to make it. You've got one foot on the porn side, one foot on the mainstream side. You're not going to make it." And then he got really abusive, yelling at me and calling me names. And I told him, I go, "You know what? I'm done." And we owned a house together. We've been together over 5 years.
Wow.
So I fly to Young Guns, to the set of Young Guns 2, and I'm like, there's a lot of nice cock around here. So I did Christian Slater. I tied him up to the bed with his own belt and gave him the ride of his life. Who else did I fuck? There's someone whose dick I sucked, but I can't say because we're friends and I don't want to do that to him. I fucked Charlie and I fucked Lou Diamond Phillips. So I
Okay, that
made
was
my way around the set. I was
yeah.
civilian.
Right. Well, and if you're, if your boyfriend was telling you to, you're never going to make it. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, you know what? I'm going to show him that,
Yeah,
that you. And so you mentioned hooking up with Charlie there. So you had a long-term relationship with Charlie Sheen.
I did.
Yeah.
Charlie and I were together well, I shouldn't say that. We were a couple for over 2 years.
Okay.
And then the next 3, we just kind of hooked up. We saw each other here and there. He was going down a different path than I wanted to. And Charlie's the first love of my life. Charlie was just,
Really?
yeah. Yeah, it hit me hard when we broke up, but there were things I couldn't be around anymore. Yeah, he was my first true love. And I'd never had my heart broken before. It sucks. It really, really
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Heartbreak
But
to me.
as far as Charlie goes, one of the nicest people I've ever met, one of the most intelligent, articulate, sweet, kind. There's a part of me that will always love Charlie. I will always care about him. I still have dreams occasionally. That's how embedded in my brain that relationship was. And I'm in a 15-year relationship now. I haven't been with another man in 15 years. I'm happy. I found my best friend, and
Oh,
it's perfect. It's wonderful. So I found my partner, my final partner in.
man, well, that says a lot, right? I mean, I would imagine that somebody that knows, that you've got not just your career in porn too, but you've been in such the spotlight with all of these characters, right? These prominent, actors, a lot of bad boys, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so somebody's got to be pretty confident in their, sort of skin
You,
to
I could never date a porn star. My boyfriend is one of the most secure people that I know as far as who he is. And I told him once the relationship became real within a few months that I would never cheat on him. And for me, it was kind of like, this is going to sound really stupid, a gift, because I've been with over almost 1,500 lovers. And so for me to give you my my undevoted love and body, that was the biggest gift that I could give him. And so I've never cheated on him and I never will. If it
that's
comes to the
beautiful.
point where I want some strange, we'll talk about it. But I'm completely satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw an interview where like not that long ago where you were talking about how, you're monogamous, you're committed to your relationship,
Yep.
except for when it comes to women. And
They
so
don't count.
yeah. Like I won't have that conversation with my girlfriend. They don't count, girl. But no, but do you and your boyfriend, do you bring in occasional ladies just to
Yeah.
keep the thing alive?
Sometimes I meet girls on the road. Christy Canyon and I have been lovers for 40 years off and on. Also, Marianne Walter, what's her stage name? Kelly Nichols. And then sometimes I'll hire a girl to come over. I want some hot little 22-year-old, and I'll go to one of those sites we won't mention and hire somebody. But most of the time, I'll call up a girlfriend and go, "Want to come over and play?" And if you were my boyfriend and I said to you, "Kevin, honey, can I bring home Christy Mack tonight?" What would you say?
Well,
Duh.
yeah, I'm gonna pretend like I've
Oh,
never heard of any of these names before. I have
yeah.
no idea. I Yeah, I see there are a lot of people in the chat. You've got some fans out there, less widely, talking about how
Yay.
beautiful you are. And yeah, Matt Franklin instantly knew you were talking about Rick James when you brought that story up. So that's good that
Oh,
he
how
said.
funny.
There are some people asking about a character that you and I decided not to chat about. And I'm sure that
You know,
there's so
I'll say one sentence, maybe two, and that's it. Ron Jeremy is a pig. He's a rapist, and I hope his dick rots up, and I hope he gets fucked in the ass or has been fucked in the ass every fucking day since he's been in prison. That's my story on Ron Jeremy. I'm sticking to it, and I'm not going anywhere else with it. Ron's a pig.
that's all that needs to be said.
I think I
There you
summed
go.
it up.
That anybody else have yeah, I mean, does that answer all your guys' questions? You know, well, going back to like Charlie, you talked about some of the, like how he was your first love and you
Yes.
had that long-term relationship. He was just in the news and it was a great story, man. Did you see him talking about how his recovery, like he's been sober now for a couple of years. He
Really?
for his daughter because he caught himself completely fucked up when she was supposed to be taken to school. Like I think either he missed picking her
Uh,
up or he was supposed to take her to school and missed it. And that was the point. It wasn't any of the stuff in the media about Tiger's blood and
right?
all the other crazy stuff, um, but his failure in his parenting is what actually lit the fire under him to get sober. And
I
he took it.
love that.
It's
And
awesome.
you don't know what it takes to get there,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard this before. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I I think anybody who's ever cared about Charlie and anybody who's ever met Charlie does care about him, um, would be so happy for him. Because it was the 80s when we were together. And don't get me wrong, I partied. I did
Yeah.
my fair share of cocaine. That was, that was the drug of the 80s. And I just got to the point, I'm not a rock star when it comes to drugs. I just can't, I'm just not a rock star. And I personally went through rehab 3 times.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and I've had 9 years, I've had 5 years. Um, and anybody that's in AA right now is going to go, fuck her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. All I'm talking about is for me.
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm going to have a glass or two of wine at night if I want. And I do. And
Yeah.
I'm not falling down drunk. I'm not forgetting about my responsibilities. It's just for me, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I never get drunk. I never drink too much, but I've been in recovery off and on since I met Charlie in '86.
Wow. Well, I mean, honestly, that whole the idea behind any of those recovery programs, right, is that if your life is unmanageable, that's where you got the problem.
Exactly.
So yeah, so if your
Exactly.
life is solid, then great. I mean, you've been able to be a successful artist. You're out doing mainstream films. You're doing like plenty of other business and maintaining relationships. So I'd
Yes.
say you made the move to Vegas. Was that I mean, a lot of people I know, friends are wanting to get the hell out of LA, and
Yep.
a lot of people have moved to Vegas. Is that a business decision or just lifestyle change?
You know what? My overhead was $20,000 a month in LA.
Shh.
And I was working so hard just to pay my bills. That didn't include getting my nails done and my hair done and buying a nice dress. This was just my house, my electricity, my water, my garbage, trim the trees, fix it. And so for me, I get so sick of the fucking traffic. I got,
Yeah.
2 hours to go 10 miles is just not cool.
Yeah.
And Vegas was close enough to home that I can fly back whenever I want. I just got back I was doing a film last week in LA, but I stayed with my son while I was filming. So I do miss my family and my friends in Los Angeles. Don't miss LA so much.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
it's so close. I mean, it's like a half day's drive and you can fly in for, in an hour. And what was the film you were working on?
It's called Unspeakable.
Okay.
I have a bad habit of giving things away. It's about a doctor played by Eddie Furlong. Do you remember
Oh,
Eddie?
yeah, of course. Edward. Yeah.
Edward
Yeah.
Furlong. Yeah, he was in the
Childhood
Terminator
actor.
Connor when
Yep.
he was 14. So he
Right.
plays the leading man, I am his wife. It's a horror film, and he invents this machine. I don't want to tell you what it does, um, but I had a blast. And Eddie is a super nice guy. So nice.
That's man. Well, unspeakable. That's good.
Oh, and
as
you
we
know what? Sorry.
yeah. No, go ahead.
I have a movie. I don't know if it's still in the theaters or not. Have you seen Pig Killer? With
No.
you've got to see Pig Killer. Just it came out November 17th.
Okay.
Do a Google search and find it. It stars Jake Busey and Lou Temple as my sons. It's a true story based on Canada's most notorious serial killer. This man raped and murdered 49 women before they caught him.
Jesus. That's
And
so not Canadian.
I play his mother. So if you think he's fucked up,
Oh,
wait till you meet my character. And
you can play a good fucked up character.
and then I have another film on Tubi right now, a comedy called Murder Size. And everything else, I'm just waiting. Some stuff is up on IMDb, IMDb or IMDb, DB.
IMDb, yeah.
Yeah, I always get the B and the. I'm dyslexic. I get the D and the B mixed up. But some of my new films are up there. Some are not yet.
How are you getting the gigs? Do you have an agent helping, like getting you reads?
No, I have an agent. I love my agent, but just word of mouth. My
Nice.
work has been solid for especially the last 5-10 years. Once you get known in the horror genre, it's hard to break out of that. But I do have a comedy coming up next year, and I have a Hollywood mainstream film coming up next year that I can't talk too much about, but it'll be the biggest role I've ever had in a mainstream big budget film. And it's based on another true story. If you want, if you want to read the book, I'm just going to put this out there because I'm promoting the book is coming out in the next soon. I mean, the audio is already available. It's called Dawn of Depravity. I have nothing to do with the book other than being friends with the author. If you go to michaelthevis.com/ginger-lynn, you will see what we're doing. It's a really cool story. It's about this guy, Michael Thevis, back in the early 70s. His parents owned a street bookstore. I don't know what you call it. Where you buy your newspapers and all your magazines when they were still a newsstand. And somebody came up to him and said, can we put Playboy on your newsstand? And he was like, all right, I don't care. He was like 19 or 20 or something. And within a year, he went from putting Playboys in his newsstand to producing 15 porn films per month. He made in his first year of business, he made $100 million back in the 70s. But that's not, so it's porn, but it's also Scarface. This man, you have no idea. He was so brutal, Kevin. If he didn't like you, he didn't have his bad guys kill you. He killed you himself.
This is a true story?
True story.
Based on true story. Wow, no kidding. Yeah, I hadn't heard this, but Dawn of Depravity. Okay, so that was a world exclusive. We got to hear it first. Ginger Lynn.
I haven't told anybody yet, so it is a world exclusive. And there's a movie being made out of it. Like I said, it's porn meets Scarface. I have a fabulous role in a big budget Hollywood film. And you know what? Hollywood kind of stays away from me now that once you're in the horror genre, how do I say this? Okay. My book is called I Don't Look Good on Paper, and I've got 3 chapters left to write. And what was my point here? So, I lost.
Well, you talked about how the horror genre sort of keeps you from being able to get mainstream.
So, I've worked consistently since I stopped doing adult films. But since I started doing horror, I get very few auditions for mainstream projects. I'm hoping this film, I guess what I'm trying to do is another crossover.
Yeah. How much more difficult is it? How much more difficult is it for the horror industry to give you a stigma than the adult films?
horror films, they don't care. They want tits and ass in it. They want
Yeah.
sexy girls. You know, they.
But I mean, if
they
you went from porn to mainstream versus horror to mainstream.
Oh, it wouldn't matter. Oh wait,
Yeah.
yes, it would. No, it does matter. Horror to mainstream. Yeah, it's another stigma, just like porn is. You know, it's something else. Oh, she's a
Yeah.
scream queen now. But the thing is, I'm not a scream queen. I'm getting the juiciest, nastiest roles. Although I do get killed in, I'm not going to tell you which films. I do die in a
Okay.
couple of my films coming up, but I'm not going to tell you when or
No,
what.
well, from the porn side of things, I mean, your career was fairly short in terms of time, right? I mean, you said you started in '83.
I was in it for 2 months or 2 years and 3 months.
Wow. Okay. How
And
many
but you
films
know
did you
what
do?
happened? VCRs came out. So it almost like you walked into you bought your VCR and they gave you a Ginger Lynn movie. They
Right.
kind of went hand in hand. So I was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably where I first discovered Ginger Lynn. I think, you know, your parents. So you get this. My parents wanted to destigmatize, I think, sexuality in terms, at all. So they
Right.
didn't want their pre and pubescent son to really see it as taboo. So they were really open about this. And I hate to disclose this probably live and with my parents maybe seeing this, but my mom asked me at 14, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I said, "I want to rent a porno." So she took me into the back room of a little video shop, went through
Oh,
the little beaded curtain, flipped through the
right.
book, and picked out the movie. And I remember taking that home to my house, and my buddy came over after junior high school, and my mom said, "Well, he can watch if he gets a permission from his mom." And so we had to call his mom, and I remember him
Oh,
asking. He's actually watching this right now. This is great. He's texting me. It's while
hi.
we're talking, but Steve has to call his mom and say, "Hey, so I'm at Kevin's house for his birthday, and we've got a movie that his mom said I could watch." And she said, "Okay, that's fine." And he said, "Well, it's an adult film." And she said, "Yeah, I don't mind R-rated films." And he goes, "Well, it's not R, it's X." And she said, "Come home now." And that was the last time that Steve got to come over to my house, which is a drag.
Oh,
But
poor
uh,
Steve. Your mom is so cool.
yes, my mom was very open and cool about it. But
And you know what I think? At that point in time when porn was fresh, there was an innocence, and were storylines. Out of the 78 films I did, over 40 were
78?
78 adult films
Wow. In 2 years.
in 2 years and 3 months. Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to that then. All right, so I interrupted you. Go ahead. So in all those films, what?
Uh, sorry, I get brain farts at my.
No, but you said you were talking about storylines and the way that plots were really important, and you said in the 78
Oh
films that you
yeah,
did.
yeah. So if it were 40 years ago, I think it would have been good for most young men to watch a porn there, or at least one of the high grade porn
Yeah.
films. You know, so that you kind of have an idea of what it is and how it happens, and then it got really funky, and donkey punching and strangling and just foul things came into play. And so I don't think that it would be healthy in today's porn world. Sorry, I have the hiccups.
No, it's okay. I thought maybe it was the subject matter that's making you
No,
hiccup.
I'm trying not to hiccup. um, and I just don't think that films today are good teachers. You know, they're
Yeah.
mainly gonzo. There's never a romantic love scene. Very rarely. You know, you're sitting there, you've got your leg up in the air, you twisted that way, your head's back, you got a dick over here. That's not real life. I mean, it has been for me, but for most people, that's not real life.
Right. Yeah. Well, do you feel like that has to be part of your bedroom etiquette now that you've done films and guys that you've dated in the past? Are they expecting you to act out acrobatic type stuff?
No, I mean, I am who I am. And like I
Yeah.
said, I've been with my boyfriend 15 years. And the first 10 years, we were just fucking insane. I remember one weekend, we made it a chore or a task to see how many times I could come in one weekend. And I came
As one does.
yeah, 27 times was my record for the weekend. And so
So
he doesn't. I found here's the problem with dating civilians. And by civilians, I mean people who aren't in porn.
yeah.
90% of them don't know how to fuck. They don't. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because they've grown up watching bad porn. If they, I mean, I don't. Where's your example of how to do it? Don't get me wrong. I like to get fucked, but there's more to just fucking. There's making love. There's a connection. There's this. There's that. And I don't think that today's porn films are appropriate for 14-year-olds. Whereas
Yeah.
my unless you're watching a Ginger Lynn movie, I have
Okay.
not
So
any. I don't go to kink.com. Everything with the exception of kink.com, I would recommend to a young man going through puberty.
okay. So we probably have parents that are in the chat and parents watching this. So okay, parents, you've got a 14-year-old child at home. Ginger Lynn's going to recommend one of her movies to help you discover the birds and the bees.
I think it's a good idea.
Which one of
Let me
yours?
think.
Let's go
Oh,
down the
not
rabbit hole.
on the spot. Okay. One that has Trashy Lady.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Trashy
So
Lady, starring Harry Reams, Amber Lynn, and myself. The title is a bit vulgar. It's one of the best films that I've ever made. And it's just a really good film. Trashy Lady.
okay. So
It's a period piece. It was one of the big budget films, or Surrender in Paradise.
let's go back to Trashy Lady for a second.
Okay.
Who directed it?
John Seaman?
Okay.
No joke. Somebody
Uh,
Seaman.
and what about that one made it special? Do you think that would be representative of a great film of yours?
Because it shows variety in my sexual escapades. Uh, I play a young woman who a mobster wants as his girlfriend. He falls in love with her, and she's like the girl next door. She's super sweet. She doesn't swear. So you see me originally with someone my age having a beautiful romantic love scene. Once the gangster wants me as his girlfriend, Amber Lynn comes in and teaches me how to be dirty, how to talk dirty, she teaches me what to do to please a man.
Okay.
So, and it's so well done.
I remember you two being in some films together back when I was
Yes.
of that age, and thinking that you were sisters, right? I thought that was the whole gimmick, right? That two sisters got in the business together. How dirty and debaucherous is that?
That's what everybody thought. That's what
I'm sure.
everybody thought.
But started to ruin it for you kids.
Well, you know what? In my real name is Ginger Lynn Allen.
Right.
And Amber's real name, I won't tell you her first name, but her second and her middle and last name are Lynn Allen as well.
Wow.
Isn't that
small world?
So we're both
Yeah.
somebody Lynn Allen. So who knows?
I see. There's one of the people in the chat is asking if I have any clips that I can roll. Unfortunately, posture now. No, we don't get to. All we could do is maybe have Ginger act out her parts, but
Hold on.
yeah.
Okay, that was kinky business. I won best blowjob for that.
Okay.
Hold on. These are my balls. That's from Ball Busters. Got a big ball swing there.
Oh my God, that's great. He says that'll work. That's great. Yeah, you and I were talking about this, man. If we weren't a little bit off, then it wouldn't make our entertainment factor important, any difference. So
it's so true. I mean, you and I both know a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
And they're all a little twisted in one way or another.
Oh
Anybody
my God. Okay.
in the entertainment industry, I need to put a broader blanket over that. Because I've had my share of rock stars and the men of that caliber as well. Go ahead.
Well, okay. So I was just thinking about this. So you talked about Charlie being your first love. Charlie Sheen was a long, good relationship for you. And you had a relationship with Clooney for a little bit, right? You had
I
a little.
did. I did. You've done your
Okay.
homework.
Yeah. And there was and Emilio Estevez, there was a time with him, which
No,
is
I
Charlie's.
didn't do
Oh,
Emilio.
no?
No, I never
Okay.
did Emilio.
All right.
That's because
Now,
my I told you, I sucked a dick to get that role, and the girl
okay.
that told me about the guy, she was my roommate, so she was sleeping with Emilio at the time,
Okay.
and that would not have been nice of me.
Right. Well, that's nice of you to be civil to your friend. I was thinking about that circle of art of actors because there's an actor from that era that's out in the music industry. He's out touring right now. I've played a bunch of gigs with him. I got a buddy playing drums for him right now, and I see so much in the media that is just a shit show with this guy. And I think
Um,
it's got to be a gimmick. I think it has to be because
you think?
everything he does ends up on TMZ and it's viral. And it seems like
Um,
it seems to me like Corey Feldman just has to get, really, man. I've met
oh,
him. He was a nice enough dude, and like I said, I've had friends that are playing with him, but the stuff that keeps popping up, I think there's no way that he could be that fucked up. There's no way. It has
you
to
know
be a
what?
setup. It's got to be a gimmick.
Corey's pretty fucked up. He wrote his book and outright fucking lied about me, calling me
Yeah.
a rapist, saying that I
Holy
took.
shit.
Yes, it's in his book. And I'm like, oh my God. Thank God Scotty Schwartz was there. Scott Schwartz was there and knows it didn't happen. So I have a witness. So I'm okay. But yeah, when I met Corey, he was like 15. He couldn't even drive. Our friendship was based on cocaine.
Uh,
And the times I went over to his house, he lived with his dad. We listened to Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon a million times. And we did blow. We did blow
yeah.
for, about 6 months we hung out. And then Corey went down a different avenue. And I'm like, what is it with people? Why do you have to go down that road? I can't go there. But Corey's
Man.
a total nut job. No, uh, he's sweet, but he's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
pathological liar. He's a pathological liar. And it's just so stupid. Corey's Angels. Give me a fucking
Oh,
break.
yeah. I know.
I would bet money that Corey likes men more than women. And I
I
just
wouldn't
said
take
that
that.
in public, and I mean it.
Well, I mean, there's a sordid sort of story, right, about his childhood and like, uh, but because I don't want to speculate on that stuff. I mean, it makes me really, really sad to see people that if they're that messed up. I worry about my friends, right? So my friends that end up playing with them, like, just take care of yourself, make sure you get
Yeah.
paid, and don't get yourself in situations that are going to cost your future. Because one thing, if you align yourself with certain people,
Yeah.
like your the stigma is never going away, right?
Well,
So,
is it me or is Corey just a joke? He has no
well,
talent singing. He's a great actor, he used to be, but he
yeah,
can't. I've seen some of his stuff, people will send it to me, and I'm like, oh my God, do you
I
not
know
look
it.
at yourself? You're showing me.
Well, that's
Screw
what I'm
that.
wondering. If it's a gimmick, it has to be.
No. He
Oh my god.
he's always wanted to look and act like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
It's not a gimmick. He's fucked up in the head. This is what he
God.
really thinks, that he's good. He
Yeah.
honestly thinks that
Ugh.
he's got a voice, and that his fans are still out there for him, and a lot of them are, and I wish him all the best. But at the same time, he's a fucking pathological liar and a nut job.
Yeah. Well, if the dude's been, accusing you of that kind of stuff, that too, that's a deal breaker.
Well, and the
How
funny
about
thing is that there were no accusations until he wrote his book. There were no, it
that was the
just
one that came out like a year ago?
a few years ago, I think.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember him making a big deal about how he's going to reveal all this dirt.
yeah,
It was mostly going to be about Hollywood elite, right? How insidious the Hollywood bigwigs were, and I think that was the at least his carrot that he was dangling, for the book, that he was
right.
going to all these revelations. And little did we know it was going to turn out that he was just going to try and mislabel Ginger Lynn, right? So that
Yeah, right.
bastard.
The
Well,
fucker
how
from my
okay,
book. Let me jump here. I have three
yeah,
chapters left to write. My book is called "I Don't Look Good on Paper," and what I probably have 100 different stories about celebrities, and I don't want any legal problems. So what I've done is, okay, I've I've written out all of the different stories. And some stories are 2 pages, some are 20 pages. I've done it in almost like you're reading my journal. It's present day as I'm writing it, and it'll be done in 3 months. And I do out people. And here's what I did. So I told the stories, and then there's a glossary in the back. So let's say I have 100 stories involving celebrities. The glossary names 100 celebrities. You just don't know which one did what, or tried to do what. There's a very famous female actress she's older than I am, probably by about 20 years. And back in the mid 80s, she offered me through Heidi Fleiss. And I knew Heidi from probation. We used to have to pee together. When we were in
Really?
trouble. Yeah. What was I saying?
Well, you're talking about this actress that's 20 years older than you.
Oh. So she offers me $10,000. And this is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of. She wanted me to fuck her dog.
Oh, wow.
And this is a very famous actress. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Right. And just,
but I can't write so and so. I mean,
that's
I
tough,
gotta
man.
be careful. Yeah.
Well,
But
is
there's
that
some great stories with things that you just go, no, that did not really happen. I can't
I
make this.
can't imagine. Yeah, you're the chapters in your book, man. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
You talked about. Hold on a second. Let me think about. There was something you said earlier that I wanted to come back to, but while I'm remembering, or while I'm trying to remember, we were talking about musicians, right? And
Right.
how some are just effed up. As a musician, I am still such a huge fan of certain bands.
Sure.
I geek out on stuff. And I went to a show last week that I was blown away by. Like Eddie Van Halen's kid was just on tour. He
No,
just finished. Wolfgang Van Halen is the kid. His band is Mammoth. If you haven't heard them, they're so
I
fucking
haven't.
good. And
Oh my
it
God.
was one of the best shows I'd seen. And there was nothing pretentious or fake or phony about his show. There was an opening act, and I know some of the people in the band, and it was cool and theatrical. And they had to take away all their staging and the lights off stage so that Eddie and his band could be there in t-shirt, jeans, and just play like a freaking rock band. And they killed it.
Oh,
What an amazing show. I'm
that's
curious about you. Like, do you get to go out and see live music very often?
um certain bands whenever Metallica's in town, I always get a phone call.
Yeah. Who
Whenever
calls
Billy
you?
Idol's in town. I wanted to see Billy last month. I bopped Billy from 1986 until 1990. No,
Wow.
86. No, to 1999. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Billy and I have been off and on for years, and he just
Wow.
played here. He just played here, but it was during that stupid, idiotic. Who the fuck thought this was a good idea? Formula One race.
Oh, right.
And
Everything's shut down.
I live in a quiet little sleepy town out, 15 minutes outside of Vegas. And there was no way in hell. I don't want to go down there when the tourists are down there, but
Right.
much less when the streets are tore up. And it was just such a clusterfuck.
Yeah. Well, I've
So I
heard
didn't
from so many.
didn't get to see Billy recently when
You
I went.
didn't. He
No,
still kills it.
I wasn't willing to go down there. I'm like, I don't want to drive down there. So he'll be back.
Yeah, he will. Eric Ildenius, his drummer, is a buddy of mine, and Billy still just kills it. It's amazing to me how much energy he's got. And we played with him in Cancun.
He looks
Yeah,
good too.
I know. It's not even fair. That dude and Rick Springfield, both of those guys, they piss me off, man. Chiseled abs,
You know who I
Yeah.
saw the other day that pissed me off, who is so fucking beautiful? Wonder Woman. What's it?
Gal Gadot? Linda Carter.
Linda Carter.
Yeah.
I saw her on Instagram the other day. She is so fucking beautiful. She looks 40.
Natural beauty. Yeah.
Just she hasn't had all the Botox and the nose job and the cheek implants and the facelifts, and she's just a natural beauty.
Well, okay, so that is one thing I was going to ask you about. You went, transition from porn to mainstream. Did you have actresses that you aspired to sort of like learn from, and did you take acting lessons?
I studied for 6 years at the Beverly Hills Playhouse.
Okay.
Started out with Bill Cackmus, moved up to Al Mancini, and then finally to Milton Casellas. So I studied for 6 years. Um, and what was your other question?
If you had actresses that you aspired, that you looked up to as
Oh,
a
yes, yes, yes. I do, but you're gonna think I'm goofy and crazy. Um, Lucille
more?
Ball,
Oh,
Lucille Ball,
nice.
and Carol Burnett were two of the people that I loved them. I loved their energy. I loved I loved their fearlessness when it came to being silly.
Yeah.
What I learned from both of them is to, and how do I put this? Not stop and give a fuck what I look like when I'm doing what I'm doing. You know,
Yeah.
just going on and with no ego,
Yeah.
total humility.
That works whether you're in acting or not, right? I mean, that's just a great way to live your life.
It is. It definitely is. Um, so yeah, Carol Burnett and Lucille
Lucille
Ball.
Ball. I love those. Oh, those are great, man. Do you go see films quite a bit?
I love films. I don't
Yeah.
go out into the theaters as much as I used to, but I watch everything. And I
You
grew up with my grandmother was a huge movie fan, so I grew up. My favorite movie growing up was To Kill a Mockingbird,
oh,
and I
man.
wanted to be Scout. And I just watched Oh, It's a Wonderful Life last night. Uh,
Okay.
Arsenic and Old Lace is one of my favorites. So I go way back to Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, all the way up to whatever I just watched. I watch everything. I study everything.
Oh,
And
okay, yeah. Are you able to watch a movie and not get sucked into the cinematography and the
no, well, yeah, I actually, my boyfriend hates me for this. Yes, I can get completely, I absorb myself. I'm part of the movie. Um, and I'll watch the whole movie. I'll cry, I'll laugh, I'll do whatever. And a week later, I'll be going through Netflix and I'm like, oh, we should watch this movie. He goes, Ginger, we just watched that one.
Oh, no.
So I have this ability, and I've always had it, to forget the movie afterwards. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll remember a scene. I've probably watched To Kill a Mockingbird 100 times, and I can't tell you what happens next when I'm watching it. Um,
Really?
no, no.
Yeah.
And the weird, I can memorize 90 pages of dialogue, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
If I'm watching a movie, I feel like I'm part of it, and so I don't remember it.
Do you have ADD, do you think?
No, no,
Okay.
I
Good,
don't.
'cause I haven't been diagnosed with that, but I think I have that same thing. There are like I get really sucked into some series, I was a big, huge Breaking Bad fan, Better Call
Oh, me
Saul
too.
and all that.
I watched it
Yeah,
3
like,
times. 3
God,
times completely.
and I could watch it 3 times and forget how it ends up? So, I man, I was a late bloomer Peaky Blinders fan. Did you get into it at all?
My son is so into Peaky Blinders, and I watched a couple of episodes, and he told me, keep watching," and I just couldn't get
Yeah.
over that hump, but I hear it's
Yep.
brilliant.
The same thing for me. For a couple years, I watched like the first episode and a half, and I couldn't get it. And I was on tour in England, and where all the scenes were shot, and then
Uh-huh.
I got hooked, and it was incredible to me too. But
I'll
I,
I'll I'll have to put that on my list. I
it's
really
hard to
will.
get, like a series though, right? I mean, if you don't have a lot of time to just sit around and watch something, it's tough to get into like a 5 or 6 season episode
It
series. And
really is. It really is. What I'm hoping for my book, did you ever read the book, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell?
no,
It was written by this college student who was a womanizer, a drug addict, a drunk, and just fucked his way through college. And he was such an asshole. And he wrote his book in story format. So each chapter is an entire story, and that's the way I've written my book. And so my hope, since I'm on story number 78 right now,
Wow.
and I can completely, totally see my book being a series. It's written that way. And if I can just get the Hunger Games girl, what's her name? Jennifer
Kristen Stewart?
Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, that's right.
I
Yeah.
want Jennifer Lawrence to play me.
Nice.
I
Okay.
love her attitude. I love her. Uh,
Yeah. I
yeah,
could see
she would be
that.
fantastic. Uh,
Well, I would hope, right? Gingerlinart.com has all of your artwork. When the book comes out, too, you're probably going to be leaking and having some information there, or is there a different way to find out about I don't look good on paper?
you can follow me on Instagram.
Okay.
My handle is Blame It on Ginger.
Nice. I love it. I
Yes.
uh I think my book is gonna be I have a face for radio, but I man, I've got a lot of chapters to go if I'm gonna try and catch up with 78 of Gingerland. I can't wait to read yours. That's
The
gonna be a good one.
the chapters I have, Charlie is my next one.
Okay.
And then I have uh Prison.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So Charlie, Prison, and then I have, I don't know if you call it a chapter or not, but you know how people have bucket lists?
Yeah.
I don't have one. Mine is full. I've done everything unintentionally on my bucket list. So I'm just going to make a list of gifts that I've been given. I mean, stupid things like that were so big to me, like having lunch at Tavern on the Green. That was a
Mm.
big fucking deal for me. Going to
Yeah.
Cannes for the film festival, making my first movie in Hawaii. Everything I did, I've been so appreciative. So I think rather than a bucket list, it's an appreciative list. I just
Man, gratitude, girl.
gratitude. That's the word I'm.
Yeah.
I have a lot of gratitude, and I still do. I haven't let that go.
That's my day. I start my day. I have to. I have a
Yeah.
little 2-minute gratitude journal that a friend gave me, and it
Hmm.
just starts off I have to list 3 things I'm grateful for. I have
Yep.
to list what I wanna focus on for the day, and then what I'm gonna let go of. And the thing is, I have a
Ooh,
hard time letting go of stuff, so that's the most important part of mine. So, I'm glad to hear that gratitude's a big part of you too. That's
huge. Absolutely.
well,
And it always has been. And I think a lot of it is because I grew up really poor.
yeah.
I just didn't know it for a long time. Um, but everything, if I get a new dress, I'm like, I got a new dress. It can be the tiniest little thing ever. And and I'm grateful.
Yeah. Well, if you can appreciate things like that, I mean, a lot of people in the sort of the public eye or celebrity figures, they take a lot of that stuff for granted, right? So the fact that you don't, you know, okay, you talked about second to last chapter, and I don't want to take up much of your time, but you talked about prison. What's the story? What happened?
In a nutshell, it was 1986. It was all over the news that Traci Lords was underage and filming.
Right. That's right.
I got a knock on my door that within a week from the district attorney's office, and they wanted me to testify on Tracy's behalf against adult film producers, stating that they knew she was underage. I was raised by cops. You don't cheat, you don't steal, you don't lie, and you don't fucking snitch.
Mm.
And I refused to testify. So the U.S. attorney came in and said, if you don't testify, we're going to make your life really difficult. So I go before the grand jury, and the fuckers had pictures of Tracy from like movie number 1. They fucking knew she was underage the whole time. It's just ridiculous. And so I know people by the cameraman's Bubba. I know, I don't know people's real names. It's porn. Nobody knows
Yeah.
their real names. And so I was less than helpful, shall we say. I have a really bad memory. I didn't recognize anybody. And 5 years later to the day, I got the knock on my door. And the second time when I refused, the U.S. attorney got involved. They're the ones that said, we're going to make your life difficult. And I'm like, all right, I didn't do anything wrong. So 5 years later, that wasn't a knock. I was actually at Charlie's house. We were tripping on mushrooms and laughing at Mary Steenburgen's name. We thought Mary Steenburgen was we laughed for an hour, just kept repeating her name. It was ridiculous. So
On mushrooms.
I'm high as fuck. I'm tripping. I'm having the best time ever. And my attorney calls and says, you've been indicted. And I'm like, for what? For tax evasion. I'm like, fuck that. I've always paid my taxes. And what they tried to get me on was I had a $2,087.04 deposit into my bank account for a film I made. Rarely did you get paid in cash, but when I did, I put the money in the bank. So they said, well, the prosecutor's story was, if she got this money, what else did she get? Who are all these other people? They must have paid her in cash. It was just ridiculous. And I ended up spending 4 months and 17 days in federal prison.
Wow.
MDCLA and then Echo Park, Gateway CCC.
Wow.
And that's when I went from wearing come fuck me shoes to fuck you boots. But it's a great chapter in my book.
I bet, man.
It's not, I won't say fun filled, but I'll just tell you a couple things I learned in prison. They say you go there to rehabilitate. I can now take a Coca-Cola can and a woman's razor, a pencil, and a rubber band. And that's my best tool. So the can, I take the razor blade and I cut around the bottom. So I have a little bowl. I learned how to mix and fix heroin for my cellie. Because if she got caught shooting up, I went to the hole too. So I learned how to take that. I'd make the little Coke can and then the pencil and a pair of nail clippers. And I would take the nail clippers, go around the pencil, get down to the lead, put a cotton ball on top, take the light bulb out of the socket, put the lead in, and now I've got fire to put underneath the can to melt your drugs. Wow. Tied her off with my underwear and shot her up whenever she wanted to be shot up. So that's just one of the many things I learned being rehabilitated.
Okay, well,
heroin.
God, man, how? What year was that? You said 87 was when?
No, the 86 is when they knocked on my door. 92 is when I went down.
Okay,
and I have to be honest here. So what happened was there were 3 counts, 2 were dropped. I was found guilty on 1. I was sentenced to 750 hours of community service, plus the 4 months and 17 for time served, and drug testing. That's how I know Heidi Fleiss. I met her at my probation officer.
Wow.
And so, help me here. Where am I going?
Well, you were talking about the time you spent, with the years, the time that you were there, the community service you got, the sentence.
Yeah. So the drug testing, I was like a month shy of my 3 years of probation. And I got permission from my probation officer to go to camp for the film festival. And I'm on the beach and I'm on this boardwalk and I've got the crowds out in the sand and all over the place. And I look down the beach and there's somebody with a bigger crowd and I'm like, fuck this. So, so when I was done, I went down and it was Charlie.
Oh, and wow.
I'm like, because we were on a hiatus at that point in time. We had a little difference of opinion on things. And so it was Charlie and I was engaged to somebody at that point. And so I'm wearing my engagement ring and Charlie and myself, and I'm not going to mention the other people. Kiefer was there. I can say that. Okay. Yeah. And some really big actors were there. And we went out every night. We went go-karting. We went, we just did something all the time. We were always out and about and we were always doing coke. All of us.
Yeah.
Now remember, I'm on probation. I can't do cocaine. I can't drink alcohol. I can't do anything.
You're
And
3 years into your probation at this time?
I'm 1 month shy of getting off.
Oh, God.
1 month shy. And I get back from Cannes. It's been all over the news that I'm engaged to Charlie because we're out in public. I'm wearing a ring.
Mm.
We're together. And so when I got back home, I I went in and I had the drug test. And the next thing I know, the marshals were taking the door off of my condo.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
man. Oh, so with a probation violation, what was what was the sentencing for that?
That was the 4 months and 17 days. That's why I was saying I have to
Oh,
be
oh
here.
shit! You
Yeah.
got probation and the community service, and the
And
4
I
months was
broke
because the
probation.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
So it's my own
Wow.
fault. And here's a funny story. So when I got out of Gateway CCC, which is maximum security downtown LA, and I went to that was MDCLA. I went to Gateway CCC in Echo Park, and it's a halfway house, and it's for people. I had 3 roommates. One was an arsonist, the other was a murderer, and the other was a credit card thief. And what they do is they go to this facility to acclimate back into society. So as long as I was working or going to church, I could leave. So I get an audition for NYPD Blue. Remember, I'm in prison now. I'm in. I tell everybody my name is Pamela. Nobody believes me. I wear a baseball cap the whole time, and I I've got this role for NYPD Blue. So I go. My bodyguard drives me. He picks me up every day to go to work, and I drive onto the lot. And I've got my sides. I've got my script. Not my sides, but just my script. It's a brilliant role. It's a 2-parter. I can't wait. I walk in. Traci Lords is sitting there.
No way.
Wait. I'm like, are you
Ugh.
fucking kidding? When I get done with this, I go piss in a cup in front of some fat, disgusting loser that has no other thing to do than be a probation officer. I'm sorry. I think most probation officers are losers. They're not there to help you. But okay, where am I? I'm sorry. I'm getting
Tracy's on set as you go
oh,
on
so
to
Tracy's in the room, and so I literally walk out and I call my agent and I said, I'm not doing this. He goes, get your ass back in there, get the role, then you turn it down. I'm so pissed because I'm in prison. Anyway, what happened was I got the fuckets and I didn't care. I was so full of emotion, so angry, so knowing that I was going back to prison because of her and she's out free. And I went in and there were Jerry Bruckheimer was in the room. Oh no, not Bruckheimer. Who did NYPD? Bruckheimer was a series I did called Skin. Anyway, Stephen Bochco. So Stephen
Yes,
Bochco
that's
was
right.
in the room, and there's a dozen other people, and I walked in and I just did it, and
Crushed it.
I didn't give a fuck if I got the role or not.
Yeah.
I get back to the car, and my agent calls. He goes, "You're on hold for the next 2 weeks. They start filming this day. Once we sign the contracts, you got the part." So not only did I get the part, but it shot for 2 weeks, nominated for 5 Emmys, won 3, and I'm
Wow.
the guest star. So fuck you, Traci Lords.
Yeah, that's right. Hell yeah. So you and Tracy never repaired your
I
riff,
never
huh?
liked her. There was nothing to
Oh,
repair. I did not like her
okay.
when I met her.
Man, that I guess I know that she had yeah, so you talked about NYPD Blue. I remember the time that it was all big in the news was that she was trying to go mainstream, right? That's when it all came out that she had been way underage and
And she was waiting for that day. And the
yeah.
first thing she did when she turned to 18 was make a porn film that
Oh.
she with her production company TLC.
Oh, you know a lot about her stuff, and I like Jay Shavner here in the chat. He's saying, "Oh my god, like Ginger's a survivor."
And
Yeah, that's a
I am, and I'm a happy one. I love my life. I love my life, and um, I want to share it with people. So many people just know me as a porn star, or the girl in the Metallica video, or the girl that shoots that's Captain Spaulding's nightmare. And my book you get to know me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say hired. I went through 5 different writers, and what I did was I I found 5 writers, and I sat down with each of them individually and told them a story, told them all the exact same story, and said, please, I want to see what your writing style is. Write the story now. And the first one I read was from he was a professor at Syracuse University, and I read what he wrote, and I went, "Fuck, am I a slut?" And then, and then I, I had Patrick Duffy's autobiographer, and
Okay.
I read hers, I went, "I'm a bitch." And I had somebody else that wrote it, and I was a victim. And so each person that I told my story to, the same story, had a different idea of who I was.
Interesting.
And so the only way to get it done correctly is to do it myself. So that's why
Yeah.
it's taken a while. And as of yesterday, I have a whole month off, and I'm very, very excited.
Yeah. Oh, do you have an editor that kind of helps at least
Nope,
got the eyes?
not yet.
Nope,
No,
that's it.
done
All right.
anything yet. When I went online a couple months ago, excuse me, researching um, publishers. I have the weirdest hiccup burps going on.
Now then, this is good. I know that it's not that you're nervous because I don't think anything makes you nervous, does it?
No, no,
Yeah.
I've got an air bubble. Um, okay, what was I saying?
Well, you were talking about how um, the idea of hiring a publicist or
Yeah.
a publisher.
So I went online, I looked up publishers, and
Yeah.
I don't know how I put my email in, and the next day I got a phone call. I did not put my phone number in this online thing, and Fulton Books called. And so we're really interested in your book. And I'm like, I'm not finished. Please just wait for a few more months. I don't want to give anyone anything until it's a finished product. And then the next day, Simon and Schuster called,
Mm,
and I said the same thing. So at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to self-publish. I know I'm not going through Amazon because they take 80%.
really? Oh my God.
Amazon's the worst. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go with it. I may self-publish if I'd love to get a really great book deal,
Yeah.
and travel doing the circuit, and it really is a good story. It's a great read, and I want to share it.
Ginger. Ginger, like that without a doubt, you've got to do the voiceover and the audio version of this. I mean, you
I
telling
thought
the
that.
story in your voice. Oh my God, yes. I think I would imagine some of the guys that are here. I recognize a couple of the names that are in some of the different chats. We've got YouTube chatters here, but there are people on different streams, and a couple of them actually work in distribution, mostly for music. But I'd be interested if you guys have recommendations on distribution for Ginger. Maybe toss them. You know what? You can go to accesskevin.com. On that page, there's a contact form. You guys throw me information about that. We'll see if we can't get Ginger a real good distribution deal on the book.
Oh my God, Kevin,
Yeah. No, that'd
thank
be
you.
great, man.
Throwing that out there is so nice.
I would love when it's ready if you would be up for coming back on. We'll talk to
Oh,
launch and
absolutely. Are you kidding
we
me? I would love to.
I
Absolutely love to. You're easy to talk to. You do a really good interview, and you don't ask the same questions everybody else does.
God,
Uh, so thank
I'm
you.
glad to hear you say that. I am grateful to Missy for pairing us up. I really am. I think
You too.
Missy Gordon, I freaking love you. Oh, it's not Gordon anymore. Now she just got married. So,
I know. Did you
but
see any of the pictures? It's so
oh,
cool.
I did on the beach.
Oh,
Holy crap!
yeah.
Yeah, she's a stunner. But
I'm so
um,
happy for her.
I you mentioned that you're probably not doing as many of the adult conventions, but the horror conventions. Do you have any of those coming up?
Yes. I have the word. I've to talk to my road manager. The only one that's coming to
Okay.
mind right now is FrankenCon, which is in Nashville, I think, in May. But I've got 2 before that, and I can't remember where I'm going. Um,
Well, I've got a
but
dear friend who was just on the show who does a lot of them as well because she was in Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
wonderful.
So Amanda Wiss,
Oh,
she was
I know who Amanda is. I don't know her,
okay.
but yeah.
You guys would totally hit it off. She is such a doll, and I know that she goes to a lot of the cons as well. So hopefully, you guys can high five each other as you walk by and sign autographs. And
That would be
but,
wonderful. I would love to meet her.
and we're in Vegas all the time, so I would love to have you come out to see a show. We
Yes.
just played Brooklyn Bowl, and we usually do Mandalay, House of Blues, and so I mean, Flock of Seagulls
Let me
isn't quite
know when
Billy
you're
Idol, but
home. I'm sorry, what was
that's
that?
it. I said a Flock of Seagulls isn't exactly like a Billy Idol gig, but I would love to have you come out and catch the show, So
I would
yeah,
love to. I would absolutely
offline,
love to.
offline. I want to hear the Billy Idol stories. You don't have to share that with the public, but I'm fascinated by him as a performer and an artist, So I bet you've got some good stories about Billy.
Billy's a good guy. We had a lot of good times together.
I bet you did.
Good times together.
I bet.
I forgot about that. Okay, I got to write this in my book. So you want a little world premiere or world secret out here?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I get back from, I went to Cannes. I forgot to mention that I accidentally flew to Austria.
Accidentally just hopped on the wrong plane.
Charlie was working on Three Musketeers or whatever that movie was. And so I flew there with him. Now, Charlie and I are, we're on a break right now. And so I've been fucking Billy for like 5 years at this point, off and on.
Okay.
And so I get back from was it Austria? Wherever they filmed the Three Musketeers, I don't remember. So I get back and Billy has on his property, or if I don't know if he still lives there or not, 3 houses with the big pool with the bridge that walks over it. It's ginormous. Not only is it Billy Idol's home, but it's where I shot my very first nude layout for Penthouse with Suze Randall.
Wow.
So
okay.
I go when I get back from Cannes, I know that I'm going to jail. There's no doubt. I know what I've done. I know I'm going to be tested, and I know I'm going away. It's been all over the news that I'm in bumfuck with Charlie and I'm engaged.
Okay.
So, I apologize for my lapses of memory. I need to get that neuro stuff for my memory.
That's okay. I'm proud of myself for being able to follow, and that's not anything to do with you. Yeah.
Oh, so what happens is I go over to Billy's, and one of Billy's houses is a 2-story smaller house, and it's called the gingerbread house from the first time I walked in. So I go over to Billy's, going, I'm going to jail. I know it. And so we bought 4 8-balls. I don't even know what that is. Half of something. I just know 8 balls. And we sat in, he had a bathtub with the feet on it.
Yeah.
And we sat naked with no water in the bathtub for days and just did coke.
Oh my God. This is because you knew you were going away to prison.
I knew
like,
I
if I'm
was
going to
going.
go.
Might as well have a good time before I go. Yeah, I'm going to test dirty anyway, so I might as well have fun. So whole week, I got home on a Thursday or Friday. Monday was when I had to turn myself or go in for drug testing, and I failed.
You knew, yeah. Had you actually passed that drug test, can you imagine walking out of there going, "Oh my God"?
Yeah.
Right, but you, yeah.
No, that was not going to.
Yeah, that sounds like I don't think you've left a lot of pages unturned in your book, have you?
No, I'm brutally honest.
Yeah.
I share lots of stories. Certain people I will use their names. Charlie's Charlie. George Clooney's George Clooney. The only people's names I won't mention are the ones that have done or that I was involved with. Just the fucked up people, like the woman who wanted me to fuck her dog, and but it's in there how I got my role on NYPD or on Young Guns 2. Yeah. It's right there.
That was the casting couch blowjob.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that never got me a gig, damn it. But yeah.
I'll give you a few pointers. Go watch
Okay.
Traci Lady.
Okay, yeah. So if you guys got here late and you missed all the parenting tips from Ginger Lynn, this is she wants to. If you're going to introduce your kids and teach them the birds and the bees, don't have them watch Pornhub or anything of the new stuff. Go back, find Trashy Lady, right,
Yes,
and see that there were romantic scenes that actually could introduce you to a more connected way to meet your partner, right?
that's
So
right.
I
Damn it.
think beautiful. That man, it's so much fun. I could talk to you all day. It's
I know. I
incredible.
could say you're wonderful.
I I can't wait to go to see gingerlinart.com, see your paintings, and I hope that other people do as well. If you got here late, folks, I want you to do me a favor. It's a good one. Go back, start at the beginning. Hit the like button on this on YouTube, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. I am excited to. I've got a members only release. I've been talking about Kelly Kiki from Night Ranger, drummer from Night Ranger that sang Sister Christian. We shot it at his backyard, and so we'll do a little live for members only episode. So we'll get that out there. And please tell people about this because Ginger Lynn Allen has an amazing story. I Don't Look Good on Paper is her forthcoming book, right? And so
Yeah.
I can't wait to read it. So I
Thanks.
wonder if if hopefully I'll get to see you, in the forthcoming months. I'll get you to a show. Hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and
Thank
please
you.
tell your man. Appreciate you sharing your evening with me.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I feel like I made a new friend tonight. Thank you.
Right on. I feel the same. That's what this is all about. Good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Ginger Lynn out. Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful holiday, and I will talk to you soon. Rock